yes, some things as they get older still hold their utility and bring us great pleasure. Like my old Victrola here. And very much like an informative training video. I was going through my office the other day, throwing out a few old things, and ran across this videotape. One that holds special meaning for me. I developed a training video during my last year with my district. I had served them well as a teacher in a self-contained classroom, as a push-in support person for kids who were included in the Gen Ed classroom. I found an old machine. I took a look at it and said, you know what, if we digitize this, it still has utility and will still bring pleasure. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, by the way, if the fella in the video looks a little bit younger than me, it's because I'm talking to you from the future right now.
I can't overstate the importance of behavior management to a teacher. It allows us to teach effectively. It allows our children to learn. And the sad truth is that more novice teachers are dismissed or fail to receive tenure because of problems with discipline more than any other reason. This probably stems back to our college training. Most of us did not have a course in behavior management when we were going through our university system. Discipline. I've seen some great ideas and some very effective programs. I'd like to share with you some of those ideas today. And as I was looking at those programs, I tried to figure out whether there were common elements among all these varied programs, some very complex, some very simple. Was there a common thread between them? And found out, yes indeed, there are some common threads. For example, effective behavior managers have an in-charge philosophy. By that I mean that they believe that no child should stop a teacher from teaching. No student should keep another student from learning. We find 4 components which are involved in every good behavior management system. First of all, the teachers have rules in the classroom. Second of all, there are consequences. When a student misbehaves, something happens. We need to let that student know that his behavior is out of bounds. But of course, we also catch the kids being good. It's important, if we want to see that behavior again, we want to see that proper student behavior that we're looking for, that we let the students know that they're showing it. Lastly, it's important to be consistent. If a student never knows when you're going to become mad or when you're going to send them to the office, they're going to test you. And they won't know that day how far they can stretch that rubber band before it breaks. How many times can we misbehave before Mr. or Mrs. Smith gets mad and does something about it? It's important that the students know what you will do when they misbehave, and that every time they misbehave, there's a consequence. Yet also when they behave, they're reinforced for it. What I'd like you to do right now is to take out a sheet of paper and pick up your pen. Somebody wake up that guy in the back of the room. Okay. Supper's over, fella. It's time to get to work. And what I'd like you to do is write down at the top of the page the word rules. Then jot down the numbers 1 through 5. One thing that we find in effective behavior management systems is there are usually 3 to 5 rules in the classroom. This doesn't always apply. I've seen one teacher who had 1 rule. Follow directions the first time they're given. There was another teacher who had 2 rules. The teacher is always right, and number 2, you guessed it, when in doubt, refer to rule number 1. But most teachers have 3 to 5 rules. Right now, write down the rules you have in your classroom or the rules you will have in your classroom. Additionally, positively state them. By that I mean, rather than saying no talking, have be quiet. Rather than no hitting, punching, slapping, spitting, talking, have keep hands, feet, and objects to self, or show respect. State the behavior that you want to see. That way when the student misbehaves, you can say, what'd you forget? They look up at the chart, oh, I'm supposed to be quiet. They see the behavior you want to see. You're reminding them of the proper behavior. Let's take a look at mine right now. Certainly don't write these down if they don't fit your style, your kids, your school, your personal situation. But I'll show you what I've done in my classroom. These are rules that have changed over my years of teaching. The ones I'm using right now, I may change them again next year. A good behavior management program develops, it changes, it's dynamic. It fits your needs, the needs of your students, the situation during that quarter. I'm going to walk over here now and show you my rules. My students come to know me as Mr. Mack, and rule number 1 is be prepared. It's rather vague. What do you mean by be prepared, Mr. McIntyre? And we sit down, we talk about it, and I say, first of all, I want you to be on time to class. Secondly, I expect you to have a pen and a paper. Rule number 2, show respect for others. Also a rather vague rule. So we talk about it a bit more. We talk about situations we might encounter. We talk about the expected behavior. That I want you to be polite to others. A lot of our students enjoy ribbing, capping, making fun of someone. I expect them to be polite to other people when they're speaking. Also, keep your hands, feet, and objects to self. Number 3, follow directions. That way I close up all my loopholes. One thing that we need to remember as a teacher is when things are happening in your classroom and you're not quite sure what to do, if you're ever feeling like, boy, I hope an administrator doesn't walk in right now because I'd be really embarrassed about what's happening, when in doubt, give a direction. Tell the student to do something. That way when you tell them to do something, you can see whether your direction's been followed or not. If it has, reinforcement, reward, praise, thank you. If it hasn't, then you go to your consequences. Another idea is to give them a choice. Hopefully you're finishing up your rules right now. You're stating them in a positive manner. And we'll move on to the next section, which is consequences.